Hi, today we'll talk about local port forwarding and the problem it solves. Let me show you an example because I think that's the best way to explain it, where we have 4 connected computers. Starting from the left, the first one is our Kali machine, followed by some servers that you are already compromised, and finally web server that you want to enumerate. Let's divide also these computers into 3 distinct networks. Then we'll assign IP addresses to their interfaces. For simplicity, I've only written the last octet for each corresponding IP address. Now here's a problem. You cannot simply type HTTP 10.0.0.2 into your Kali browser because you don't have direct access to the web server network. And I probably don't need to convince you that enumerating a web server without a browser is not a simple task. But there is a way to handle this. And it's called local port forwarding. Let's suppose that on server B, SSH is running, so port 22 is open. By typing the following command on server A, you can have direct access to the web server on port 80. Now you can type HTTP 192.168.0.2 on port 9000 in the browser on Kali machine, and it will be forwarded to the web server. Let's consider how this command works and how to read it. SSH-al of course stands for SSH local. We need to tell SSH that we want to use local port forwarding. Now we can move to the blue part of this command, which tells SSH where to listen for incoming connections. We want it to listen on port 9000, allowing everyone to access this port. If we want to be more restrictive, then we can specify, for example, a localhost, which means that only users on server A can use port forwarding. But now let's go back to the previous one. Then we look at the red part of this command. It specifies where our tunnel is created. And it's created between server A and server B. This is because server A executed the command and server B is specified in the red part. Then finally we come to the orange part of this command, where the traffic will go after it passes through the SSH tunnel. So in summary, when someone connects to port 9000 on server A, their traffic is sent through an SSH tunnel to server B. From there, server B forwards the traffic to the web server on port 80. Another case I commonly face during CTFs is when a box has a local port open. Let's assume that SSH is running on the box, so port 22 is open. And during enumeration, we saw that port 3306 is open on localhost, which seems interesting because that port is usually used for databases. However, I would like to enumerate this from my Kali machine, so I can use SSH to set up local port forwarding. I open port 9000, create an SSH tunnel between me and 10.0.0.2, and everything that leaves through that tunnel will be forwarded to port 3306 on localhost on the CTF's box. Now I can connect to the database using this command on my Kali machine, and it will be forwarded to my port 9000. Then it will go through the SSH tunnel and finally be forwarded to the local port on the CTF's box.